Hanukkah celebrates a certain type of miracle, illustrated by the following story. Sarah was a painfully shy 9-year-old. 2 evenings a week, she read to Mrs. Cohen, a woman in her 60s who had been blind since birth. One evening, Mrs. Cohen sighed, in just 2 more years, I'll be able to see. And Sarah asked her, how is that possible? Mrs. Cohen explained, a new surgery could correct her eyesight, and when she turned 65, Medicare would cover it. But Sarah couldn't stand that Mrs. Cohen would have to spend 2 more years living in the dark. The next morning at school, despite her shyness, Sarah marched into every single classroom and took up a collection. And then she added all the money she'd saved in her long 9 years. And then she went to Mrs. Cohen's apartment and said, come on, let's go. I've got the money for your operation. A few days later, they went to the best eye doctor in the city. He agreed to take on Mrs. Cohen as a patient, but his next opening for surgery was in 2.5 months. My friend can't wait that long, Sarah said. She needs the operation today. Today, said the doctor, trying not to laugh. But one look at Sarah's expression showed him this was no laughing matter. Young lady, he said, this operation has to be done in a hospital, not a doctor's office. It'll take days for the initial tests, and then we have to schedule a surgical team. And what about payment? It's all been taken care of, Sarah said, handing him a bulging envelope. The doctor peered inside. How'd you get this, he said. Well, said Sarah, it's everything I saved from birthdays and Hanukkah gelt, and some money I got from babysitting, and a lot I collected in school. The doctor paused for a moment and carefully placed the envelope in his lab coat pocket. To make a long story short, with Sarah's urging, the doctor managed to schedule the surgery only 19 days later. And it was a success. Mrs. Cohen could see. It was only then that Sarah's mother learned what her daughter had done. She went to see the doctor and to thank him, and she really showed him a great deal of money. She promised to pay him every bit. She just needed time. Maybe 30 years? The doctor reached into his pocket and pulled out Sarah's envelope. It contained $83, mostly in $1 bills. This is the payment your little girl gave me for the surgery. To me, this envelope was worth millions. Do I have your permission to keep it? He continued. Whenever I get discouraged, as we doctors often do, because there's so many people we can't help, I want to be able to reach into my pocket and have my sense of purpose, my faith restored. 2,000 years ago, when the Maccabees fought the Greek superpower, all they had was a small flask of oil. They might have given up. Instead, they committed to do everything in their power and leave the rest up to God. Sometimes, $83 can be worth millions, and sometimes a small flask of oil can last for 8 days. Happy Hanukkah, and may your days be filled with wonder and miracles.